Good evening. I'd like to call to order the April 25th meeting of the Plan Commission. The time is 7 p.m. I'll begin with the roll call. I am Mayor Kim Smith. I am present. Alder Leanne Stokes.
Present.
Jared Holter. Jan Brock.
Present.
Tom Smith.
Present.
Eric Archer.
Here.
Bill Lethan.
Here.
Thank you. Item 2, consideration and action on the minutes from the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Jared Holter. It's been seconded by Eric Archer to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. Item 3 is public input. This is the time for the public to give input to the Plan Commission. If you would like to do so, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. We do have a public hearing also, but you're welcome to speak during this time for general public input as well. Would anyone like to address the Plan Commission this evening? Second call, if anyone would like to address the Plan Commission. Third and final call for anyone wishing to address the Plan Commission this evening. Public input is now closed and we'll continue with consideration and possible action on the following items. Item 4 is the public hearing for a rezoning application to rezone a parcel of land from public and semi-public P1 district to high density residential R4 district. This is tax parcel ID number 18-2096-32. The applicant is Bethany Lutheran Homes Incorporated. I'll ask first if anyone would like to speak in favor of this rezoning application. Please come up, state your name and your address.
Todd Wilson, representing Bethany Lutheran Homes, 2575 South 7th Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin, and 351 Mason Street, Alaska. We filed a petition to rezone a parcel of land that we recently acquired from the city, known as Overhill Road. We also recently acquired a small parcel of land from First Free Church as a result of a land swap. And the reason for the request is so that the newly acquired parcels would be consistently zoned with our existing property, which is R4. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Second call, if anyone would like to speak in favor of this rezoning request. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak in favor. That portion is now closed, and I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the rezoning application. Second call, if anyone would like to speak against. Third and final call for anyone wishing to speak against. The public hearing is now closed, and I'll ask our city planner, Katie Aspenson, to introduce this item to the Plan Commission this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated by the applicant, they are looking to rezone the parcel in question that is shown in your packet. It was previously public and semi-public, tied to the First Free Evangelical Church of La Crosse, which has been recently obtained by Bethany Lutheran Homes. The intention is to build an addition to the Eagle Crest facility, and this land needs to be appropriately zoned in order to merge with the remaining adjacent land. City staff have put together 7 conditions of approval for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I'll make a motion that we approve the rezoning application to rezone a parcel of land from public and semi-public P1 district to high density residential R4 district, tax parcel 18-2096-32. Applicant of Bethany Lutheran Homes, INC, with the 7 conditions noted in agenda item number 4.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Tom Smith. It's been seconded by Bill Lethan to approve with 7 conditions. Discussion. Jared?
Katie, does this include the Overhill Drive right away?
No, it does not. That is still presently an unzoned parcel, and the intent is that when the land is vacated, it will automatically be assigned the R4 zoning designation.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve with 7 conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 5 is a certified survey map application to reconfigure 3 parcels into a total of 1 parcel and 1 outlot located at 351 Mason Street, 123 Mason Street, and Overhill Drive. These are tax parcel ID numbers 18-4515-31, 18-2096-32, and 18-2096-901. The applicant is Bethany Lutheran Homes Incorporated. Katie, did you have anything on this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Bethany Lutheran Homes owns all 3 of these parcels and intends to reconfigure them into a total of 1 parcel and 1 outlot. Prior to recording the certified survey map, if approved, the area shown as Overhill Drive will need to be vacated and discontinued by the City of Onalaska, a process that has already began. Once recorded, Bethany Lutheran will be able to continue to move their project forward. As stated in the staff report, there'll be a variety of additional reviews necessary, including amending the PUD on file and potentially the existing development and pilot agreements with the city. The proposed parcel meets all of our dimensional requirements of those in the R4 district, and the remaining outlot 1 shown on the plan will be transferred to First Free and merged with their existing parcel at a later date. These items are addressed in the conditions of approval. City staff have put together 9 conditions for this development.
Thank you for that. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I'll make a motion to approve the certified survey map application to reconfigure 3 parcels into a total of 1 parcel and 1 outlot lot located at 351 Mason Street, 123 Mason Street, and Overhill Drive, referring to tax parcels 18-415-31, 18-2096-32, and 18-2096-901, with the 9 conditions as specified in agenda item 5.
I second that.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. It's been made by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Leanne Stokes to approve this certified survey map with the 9 conditions. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say. Sorry, I was too fast for you, Jan.
I didn't unmute it. Sorry.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 6 is regarding corner fencing in Onalaska. I will turn it back to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. So city staff have completed the review of all corner fences in the city of Onalaska. Included at your chair tonight is some statistics that were able to be brought forward. I apologize for it not being in your packet. We did not finish this until Friday, so we need a little extra time. So I will review it and bring it into the record. So some basic statistics. There are 1,037 corner residential properties zoned R1 and R1, R2, R3, or R4 in the city of Onalaska today. Of those fences, 58% of those properties, of those corner properties, 58% do not have fences. Only 42% of those properties have fences, which attributes to 435 parcels. So the next set of statistics only looks at those that have the properties with fences, the 42%. 80% of all those that have a fence are compliant with our current code today. 20% are not compliant with the existing UDC. The bullets that are found below were meant to look at potential ordinance changes if the Plan Commission felt compelled to change the code to bring more fences into compliance with today's standards. So the first is that 5.5% approximately properties would become compliant if the UDC was amended to allow a fence to be installed 6 foot high to the center of the house. If you look at the map that I printed for you this evening, that refers to fences that what's allowed today is in green. You would be gaining the additional square footage in the yellow box if we changed it to go to the center of the house. We would gain approximately 5.5% by doing this. If we moved it even further to the front of the house, shown in the red box, we would gain an additional 3% of the properties. Another item that we considered was the setback from the right of way. Currently, our setback today is 3 feet. If it was removed and installed down, the setback was reduced down to 1 foot, you would bring 1% of the properties into compliance. There are 10% of the properties that no matter what you would do, if any of these changes were employed, they would still not be compliant today. So the best that the city can do would be to gain approximately 9.5, 10% of new compliance if we were to change the ordinance. I reviewed the original ordinance from 1969, and what they had was closer to what we do in the green, except anything in the right of way had to be a maximum of 4 foot high. However, they were allowed to go down to a 2 foot setback. That is something that staff is bringing forward as a recommendation to reduce that setback to the original 2 feet, because we do not know when that change occurred offhand to go from 2 feet to 3 feet, because when that change occurred, we immediately brought fences out of compliance that were previously compliant with our original code. So that's one recommendation that I'm making this evening. But based on the information before you, from 1969 to today, nearly 50 years, we have 80% compliance without having fence permits today. And I argue that that is a very high success rate of fences on corner properties and on Alaska. The last change that we did brought even more fences into compliance. And I believe that what we've done today is sufficient and that we've received enough compliance. Everyone who is not compliant would be received, will receive a letter from the city informing them that they're not compliant with city code. They'll be able to maintain their existing fence as it is, but they will not be able to build any new fence. Or if they tore out their old fence, they would have to come into compliance with the city's code, which is standard with what we do today. If we observe someone building a fence that is not compliant, we stop them and make them come into conformance with our code. So that is our recommendation for this evening.
Thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions or?
I'm thinking back to a previous conversation where I asked if we required a permit for fences. And I recall that we said, no, we don't. So I'm thinking we should require a permit for fences, for new fences at this point. What do people think?
I wonder what that would look like in terms of manpower, city budget and positions.
Okay,
I need a permit if my shed were 1.5 times the size it is now, I would need a permit to put shingles on it. So, new shingles. I mean, so we have some pretty, I want to use the word obscure, but that's not really right, requirements on stuff out there. The city seems to be okay with that. I mean, how many fences are we? We're not talking about that many fences, new fences, I don't think. What, Jared, what do
yeah,
you
I think Leanne would like to say something.
I agree with Eric. I think, I went to Katie today and we just, because this is my first plan commission, we just sat and kind of went through the agenda and so forth. And, I asked that question and Katie had indicated the number of man hours with only 2 people in plan, is, it's a lot of man hours to put, on them in addition to everything else that they're doing. So, and I agree with that. I think that, unless we would increase the staff, it would be, hard pressed for the planning area to do that.
If I'm just Joe Blow building a fence. I mean, how do I know what's the right thing to do?
I think Tom wanted to say
Yeah,
something.
I was just gonna say, I agree with Eric and Leanne. I really think that, I don't think we need to do any more on that. I mean, we try to minimize that, but I think 80% is pretty darn good. I mean, it's more than I thought. it would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, I think staff wants to comment.
I was just going to tell Your Honor, Commissioner Brock did have her hand raised, so she might have.
Okay, Jan, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I mean, those were fabulous statistics, Katie. Thank you very much. Would it be possible to put that up on the screen, or could you email that to us? I'm not there, so I didn't get your handout, but the statistics sounded great, and I agree. 80% is pretty doggone good.
Yeah,
Jan, I'm going to try and share my screen so you can look at that.
yeah, and I can
Thanks,
just,
Katie.
I can just repeat it. In the study, there were 1,037 corner residential properties in our community. Of those corner properties, 58% or 602 do not have fences. And then the remainder, which is 42%, 435 properties do have fences.
Fences.
And then of the properties with fences, 80%, and that number is 348, they're compliant with what our code is now.
Higher than I
So-
thought it would be. Mhm.
Yes, me too. And so it's 20% that are non-compliant, and then they broke those down further.
Thank you,
Mhm.
Katie. I have it.
Yeah, and one question that I have for Katie, and then we can go back to the commissioners. I was thinking that the reason that we had the fence setback, both the number of feet and on the house, was for visibility on the corners. So at what point is that taken into consideration?
So the vision triangle is the primary issue for the 4-foot height maximum. It's so that we have proper visibility, and Jared can probably describe that more than I can. Related to the 3-foot setback, it is my belief that when we did not this overhaul, but back in the early 2000s, 3-foot became a standard setback from all property lines in the right of way. So our retaining walls are supposed to be set back 3 feet. If you put concrete, you have to be set back 3 feet. It's a consistent number. So it's my assumption that they changed 2 feet to 3 feet to be consistent with how they regulated all the other types of accessory structures.
Thank you. Jared, did you want to comment more?
Yeah, the, the vision triangle is, from the right of way back each way, and that's 30 inches in height. So that would supersede a fence, but the fence, the 4-foot in the front yard, the vision triangle is really where the sight distance when you're approaching the intersection really makes the big difference, and having it not in the right of way. You gotta remember, most spots, you've got the anywhere from 11.5 to 14.5 feet from the curb back to the right of way line, which is back a sidewalk, or if is no sidewalk, they still gotta be behind the right of way line, so to be compliant.
Okay, commissioners?
This question, Katie, this survey, does it include just single family homes that include townhouses and and condos too, or just single?
R1 to R4.
Yeah, R1 to R4. Okay.
It included any property that had a residential zone.
Okay, so it would be, okay, they would all be, okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, Eric?
So in my mind, these are distinct issues in terms of setback and height. Is that fair? So my concern, I think, is the same as when we first talked about this, is if you look at the green, the red and the yellow, you have kiddos walking south and traffic heading west. It's a dramatically different sight line as it exists now. And if we were to change it to the yellow and to the red, especially kiddos on bicycles and things like that, and the way people drive. The stats is, and first, thank you for doing all this work, because it's a ton of work, I can imagine. But the statistics here, to Jan's point, 80% compliant, and only 10% not. I mean, those are phenomenal. So I think for us, perhaps the comment was the best city can do is gain 10% of compliance. And I'd argue the best the city can do is not maybe dilute an existing standard just to gain 10%. It feels like one of those is the juice worth the squeeze type of things. We can and I guess our goal, is it to, water, change a standard just to increase compliance that we already have? Or with those letters that we're going to send out to accomplish those same ends while not reducing that vision triangle? I guess I would just ask us that. Is that logically sound? Oh, thank you.
Yep, okay, Leanne?
Yes, one thing, I wanted to share with you is that also in our conversations, Katie said that one thing that they do is they have a pamphlet and they give this pamphlet to all the fencing contractors so that they have that information when they go to a home, and if they answer, get questions, as to what the rules are, they have that provided by the planning department. And a lot of people do just call in and ask questions or come in and ask questions. So that's some of the ways that people find out if they're really wanting to know what the rules are.
Okay, Erin?
In addition to that too, oftentimes if city staff or if a resident comes in and they want to construct a fence, city staff will make maps for each individual property to show them and visualize, this is where you can build it, this is the area you can't build it. That's done by request by residents when they come in and ask or give us a phone call. We're always happy to do that as well. And in addition to the pamphlets, we do have them available upstairs in our office as well, online too. So.
Okay, so Katie, what is the staff recommendation?
Staff's recommendation is to maintain our existing ordinance as it is written, with one change to reduce the setback from 3 feet to 2 feet.
Okay. Is there any other discussion by the commissioners? Or would someone like to make a motion? We'd have to make the motion and then it would have to come back through A and J, right? Katie?
If you agree with that recommendation, I can bring forward a ordinance amendment to the next plan commission meeting. And we'll hold a public hearing and move forward at that time. So I don't, other than just informing if that's what you want to do, I can work on that for next month.
Okay, is everyone in agreement with that? Or Jared, how do you feel do you feel that makes any significant difference if you have a 3-foot standard and now for fences, it's a 2-foot standard? Does that affect you at all?
I think that gives us room to work in the right of way, and if we have to put in a sidewalk or something, that's sufficient room.
Okay, so is there anyone who is opposed to the staff's recommendation and would like to voice their opinion on that? Jan, are you good with it?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, well, I think we'll give you a head nod then.
Good work.
Yeah, it's been a big
Good.
project.
That took a lot of time, I'm sure.
It has been a great team effort between Kevin Schubert, our city engineer, and myself. So we did the whole project together.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item 7, adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Eric Archer. It's been seconded by Tom Smith to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? We are adjourned. Time is 7:25. Thank you. Thank you, Jan, for joining,
Bye,
and
Jan.
Diane, if
No
you're there.
problems.
Thank
Thanks, Katie.